Coach Torina, what's going on? How we doing this Thursday morning?
We're doing great. How are you?
If I'm just going to answer that honestly,
Let's hear it.
just it's a bit of a struggle bus morning, One of those mornings where you're playing catch up the entire time. Everything's all scattered all over the place. But, F
So
it.
like every day parenting and working a job? Pretty much?
Exactly. Right, but it is a scale. It is a scale. There are some days where you feel like, okay, I've got a pretty good handle on this thing. And then this is just one of those days where you realize you're just hurtling through the universe on a little rock trying to survive. What are you going to do, dude?
I think I have more of those days than the others. So I've like grown accustomed to it,
Well, I cannot imagine heading up a program like LSU softball while also having very young kids. It's hard enough doing this job, and this job does not compare at all to that job. So very impressive how you managed to live in both worlds, for sure.
Thanks.
Before we get into...
I'm lucky to have Nick Torino doing it.
Hell yeah. So. Hell yeah. Shout out Nick. Nick's the man. How about, before you get into softball, how was the teal walk and how was everything last weekend?
Did you hear it was in Tiger Stadium? How cool is that?
That's awesome. That is incredible.
It was cool.
I saw a teal win bar as well.
I know. Isn't that cool,
cool
too? But thanks to LSU for helping us out in the weather and understanding the importance of the day. That was awesome. It was awesome. And Tiger Stadium was a nice change of venue,
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
No, it's a very great cause. And remember, guys, you can get involved year-round in the fight against ovarian cancer, raising awareness, GEAUXTeal.com. As far as the weekend, Coach, it's a bit of a weird weekend. It does seem like weather played a big part. I mean, just locked in, dominant on Friday. Then Saturday, awful weather, pushes everything back to Sunday. And I know after the game, you talked about it just felt like a bit of a weird day. Like you just felt like your team didn't have it Sunday.
Yeah, you guys would like the media asked me, aren't you glad that you did this now? And, your team's able to learn from this. And all I could get out was, no, losing sucks.
Yeah, no, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
It was really, I think, just chalk it up to a bad day. That happens throughout the course of a, 56-game season. Unfortunately, we had 2 SEC games on this bad day. I think a lot of factors played into it, a lot. I think the way we beat them on Friday night, I think our team probably had high expectations. And when it didn't go as planned, it's, it was tough to bounce back from it.
Yep.
And then we started pressing. And I think there's probably a lot of factors. This team is still young and new and learning. And we were unfortunately on the wrong end of that one on Sunday.
Yeah, that's actually where I was going to start was, having a younger team and having maybe some players that haven't really been through something like that and, dropping a couple of tough games, certainly the first game, and you come back and you score in the bottom of the 7th and then you lose it in 8 innings, but still like going through that and things and lessons that you can learn from that. And again, team bounces back nicely 12-2 in the midweek there, but like were some of the older players maybe having those conversations like, hey, like you just said, Coach, there's a bad day. Bad days happen. Ours just happen on a day where we have multiple games. We got to, find a way to get back on track because nobody in the SEC is going to feel sorry for you.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I think you said it really well. I think, some of the older players are trying to help them. I mean, we really haven't been in a lot of tight ball games. Like, I think that was our first extra inning game all year. This team has just been really dominant. So I think there is some, although I told the reporter that losing sucks, I do think there is some not value in the losing, but value in being in those games and, like, understanding, like, when you start to press, how to still stick with your process, how to still uphold our standards, go with the plan. Like there's, a mental side to that too, that maybe they haven't been tested enough in, that they're going to be tested here in the next few weeks without a doubt.
Well, and so with all that in mind, and yeah, look, there can be coexisting truths, right? Like losing can suck, but you also just can't be like, oh, well, I guess there's nothing to be learned here. Like, no, like you have to take advantage, or you have to try to make the best of a sucky situation. And I feel like your team did that, kind of resetting in the midweek, coming out, taking care of business against McNeese. I know the score reflects that, but like in terms of the vibe of the team, did you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, a little slow start there again, too, at McNeese, but I think once they got going, able to, find their confidence again. And then a really strong practice yesterday, I thought, and it was up here, hitting balls with my kid, and there were players in this facility until I don't know what time last night, just on their own, working, hitting, trying to get back, and they're committed to the success of this program without a doubt.
So winners Tuesday 12-2, and now you got Alabama coming to town, Tiger Park, another top 25 matchup because it is the SEC and everyone is a top 25 matchup. What does the scouting report say about the Crimson Tide? Traditionally, one of the top programs in the entire country year in and year out.
They are, and they continue to be. They're always just well prepared and well coached, as every team in the league is. All these coaches are incredibly talented, and they're having a year where they're capable of beating anyone. They've played well. They haven't played well. They've been a little bit of an up and down type team, but they just won a series against Georgia last weekend, so they've definitely played well lately. As always, we'll have our hands full for them.
And, Coach, I know you, and I know you always want to win, and this is going to be the most important thing, and you don't really want to look into the future, but knowing that this one's played at Tiger Park, and then the next two SEC series are in the state of Texas against A&M and Texas. So not looking forward to the opponent, but just being on the road, does that make this series feel even more important that it is going to be your last one at home for what's going to feel like a month?
Yeah, I think especially as a coaching staff, we understand the importance of this one. It doesn't get any easier from here on out. Going to face number 5, number 1, number 2 in the next 3 weeks after this. I think we have 3 top 5 opponents after this one, and this is still a top 25, top 15 team this weekend. So I think just knowing that we are at home and it doesn't get any easier, I think there's an incredible amount of importance in this weekend. And then next week you're going to ask me this question, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the most important series we played all year. And then, but it is a big one for sure. And I'm tenured enough here at LSU now that I understand that to be a successful LSU coach, you have to beat Alabama. That's it. That's what you have to do.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and look, lest people forget, this is an LSU team currently second in the SEC with a 381 team batting average, second in the SEC with a 1.99 team ERA. And what I love about that is both of those stats are kind of reflected in a couple of your upperclassmen leaders in Danica Coffey and Sydney Berzon. What has their leadership meant, and what will it continue to mean down the stretch here as the stakes increase every single week?
Yeah, the two of them are so different. It's cool to see those two as the leaders. I think Sydney is just calculated and well thought out and analytical, and then Danica is a little more spontaneous and in your face. And I think the two of them combine to be a really nice leadership package for this group. It's fun to see them do it.
Well, Coach, it's going to be a fantastic weekend at Tiger Park, guys. Get out there to the berm, have some fun. Thank you so much for making time with us here on this Thursday, and you have a fantastic day. Go kick some ass.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.